This week on Pivot with Purpose, we had help and we had this business or this company that helped us come up with names and branding. And girl, that costs money.
So I spent a year working this as a side hustle. So I was still collecting my check. We bootstrapped the business initially. We ended up putting over the course of about a year and some months, $140,000 of our own money into the business. I sold my engagement ring. I emptied my 401k. I maxed out my credit card. So it wasn't like we just had all this extra money sitting around, but the business was growing. We needed to be able to support it. And so anything that wasn't bolted to the floor, I was selling to be able to try to fund the business.
Hey friend, you're listening to Pivot with Purpose. This is my show where I pivoted from shit I'm 30, where I was dreading turning 30. I had a failed marriage, failed engagement after that, and I don't have a relationship with my immediate family. But through it all, I came out the other side with a thriving business, an unexpected radio morning show of my own, and a platform where I can reach millions of people and help them walk in their truth. I am now celebrating every step of my journey into continuously finding my purpose, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes this journey looks like shit, and it probably sounds even worse, but it's still our journey, and I'm learning right along with you to enjoy it. There's always a rainbow after the rain falls. Now, if you need advice in pivoting in any aspect of your life, relationships, career, spirituality, send your questions or story to askcarlawomares@gmail.com or shoot me a DM at Carla Womares. Now, let's start the show. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Pivot with Purpose, of course, with me, your host, Carla Womares. Here I am at home again, and I'm actually loving it. I have a few things coming different. We're going to be back in the studio, but I miss recording the show. Today, we're going to have a really exciting guest, but before I get into that, I do want to shout out a listener. Now, I met her a couple years back. She left a review on Apple Podcasts. If you have not yet, I need you to do so. But this is Tasha. Tasha basically left me a love letter on Apple Podcasts. And hey, girl, thank you. Because she says, hey, Carla, she says, podcast BFF in my pivot season. And I feel like we're always kind of pivoting in some type of way. And that's what we're going to talk about with our guest today. But she says, let me just start by saying I feel like we're absolutely internet homegirls. I got the pleasure of being introduced to you by Erica and Mila at Podcast Movement in 2021. Since then, I've been following your various podcast endeavors, be it in front or behind the camera. This morning, I listened to episode 198, From Addiction to Motherhood with Jessica Rose, and I was getting my daughter ready for school. I absolutely love the transparency, overall flow of the show, and the plethora of topics covered. Listening or watching your podcast with Pivot with Purpose has been my saving grace. Honestly, that just took me out, but okay. Thank you. That's a big deal to me just because, I be at home or in the studio and creating this podcast. And sometimes it's therapeutic for me, but I know that there are people that I'm touching, such as yourself. Okay, let me get back to reading. Listening or watching your podcast Pivot has been my saving grace in this season of my life. I've shared your podcast with everyone in my circle because it's just that good and you're relatable beyond words. Thank you for boldly speaking your truth as you navigate each chapter of your life. I'm here for the ride and will continue to cheer you on. Thank you. You're so sweet. I honestly really appreciate those words. I really appreciate that you have done that in a public way and said it publicly, because sometimes we give people our flowers or their flowers in private, and I definitely love them in private. Give them to me if I know you, if I've met you, but publicly it also helps, the brand and the podcast to continue to work and, grow. So thank you, Tasha, for that. And I'm sure you are going to be super successful in all of your endeavors. Now, I want us to get started with the episode today. We're going to have Denise Woodard, and she is from Partake Cookies. Now, Partake Cookies, they sent me some cookies. I have them here. I'm going to eat them and try them for the first time with her. So I'm excited about that. So let's get the show started. You have a very special guest. I've never met her, but I've gotten plenty of information and I went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out, you know what, this is so cool what you've done, especially because I am in the entrepreneurship field and seeing women of color being entrepreneurs, but we didn't start that way, right? And I feel like I've always said not everyone should be an entrepreneur. I don't know if you agree with me, Denise, or not.
For sure.
I don't think this is hard. We glorify entrepreneurship. It's a little ghetto sometimes. I ain't gonna lie. I've been gone for 4 days. I just got back yesterday and I was dead. I just knew when I picked up my son from daycare, he wasn't gonna recognize me. And thank God that he did because he still knew I was his mom. I was scared though. But Denise, she is the founder of Partake Foods, which really I want to call cookies, but I'm going to get more into how these cookies that ended up at Walmart, because, we think of Walmart and we're like, how you get in Walmart? You can't get in Walmart. That's hard. Like that is our household name. But I do want to talk about, before we start there, a survey that I had found. So I found the survey. It's according to the American Time Use. And basically it says that this survey says that Americans on average have between 4 to 6 hours of leisure time every day. And I know we're moms and we have shit going on all the time. So we're like 4 to 6 hours where? But then I tried to like set up this accounting time of how much I spend scrolling on my phone or sometimes watching Netflix shows and binge watching them. And we need, our leisure time as well. But if we're saying, or if the survey is saying 4 to 6 hours, and the survey also says that men have a little bit more. So 5.6 hours for men versus 4.8 hours for women. So I decided to, round down. So let's say 4 hours a day we have extra. So 4 hours, 4 times 5 is what? 20? 20 hours if it's during the whole week, Monday through Friday. So out of those 20 hours, how many of those hours can I take and put into a side hustle or my passion? Well, you don't know, but I have a Gen Z. Is she Gen Z? She's 18. Yeah, she's Gen Z. My daughter, who just wants to do whatever her passion is. She ain't getting paid no money. And I was like, all right, this passion's got to stop. You're broke and you have insurance to pay. And now you're an adult. So maybe go get a job here where you're actually getting paid so then you can work on your passion on the side. But I feel like Gen Z doesn't really have that sense of work ethic and grind and putting the work in to then get to where they want to get to, where they watch other people now. For me, I'm about to be 37. Can I ask you how old you are?
I'm 40.
Oh, we're right there, girl.
Yep.
I can't wait. I'm actually really excited to turn 40 because I feel like it unlocks a whole new world.
It just gets better. Yeah.
I hear it and I thought that 40 used to be ancient, decrepit. I'm about to die when we were in our 20s. But no, I'm like 40 is right there and everybody's looking so good. But like I said, the younger generation thinks that it happened overnight and we're like, girl, we're almost 40 or we are in our 40s or 50 or 60 and still look great. But they're kind of showing their experience to ours. And it's like, you got to work. You missed. You weren't alive and you didn't get to see our grind. So I just brought that part up because we all need to kind of look inside and into our own lives and see how much extra time do we have. And I can say I do, not often, but I do binge watch. But my issue and my kryptonite is social media.
Same. I can just like go down a rabbit hole of scrolling and then it's like, and they know you so well. So then it like suggests something else. And I'm like, oh yes, I do want to look at that. And then it just is a bad rabbit hole.
It's so bad. And then you go into a page and they tag somebody. So you then click on their page and you go from their page to the next page. Next thing you know, you're an hour in, 25 accounts later, have stalked the entire family, knew who their kids are, when they broke up, who they cheated on with.
I thought it was just me.
Then I have this like really new found love for these accounts that show new restaurants or like places to go locally. Now I'm following all these influencers that go to all these different dive bars and restaurants and parks and activities. And I'm like, I want to do that too. So now I have a full folder of like 100 places I want to go in here in Orlando and New York and Atlanta because it's where I'm at the most. I don't go to any of them, but the folder keeps getting high. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to go on all these dates with what man, girl? You didn't even got a man yet. But I have date ideas for us to go on. And that is really ours. I'm so prepared. But it's wasted time at the end of the day. So I bring all that to say that we have you on here. And I want to start kind of like a little bit back because you said you're 40 and you're also a mom. So you were working corporate at some point or you had to pivot. So I know where you worked, but I want you to tell me where you worked.
So I worked after college. I worked at Philip Morris. I worked at FedEx. And then I spent about 10 years at Coca-Cola.
And that's all of it, like corporate.
Super corporate, the most corporate of the corporate.
That's clocking in. I'm sure you experienced a boss that you wanted to slap across the face at some point.
Well, actually, I hired my boss to be our head of sales here. So I was very fortunate that I had great bosses in my career.
Shut up.
I was
really?
Very lucky. Yeah.
That is so awesome. Well, I just left radio and I'm actually looking to hiring and I've already been talking to one of our salespeople at the radio station. So I love that you're saying that because although we've had well, I'm sure at some point you had some type of boss or coworker that
Yes.
you're like, but most people don't do is use that corporate experience or while being there they're using you, but you kind of have to use them too. And
Yeah,
know
you
that
need to
there's
learn
tools
as much as
there.
possible, like network as much as possible, like whatever tools you can take from that to further whatever you're working on personally, like I'm a big fan of.
So you're a mom at the end of the day. Being a mom, how old's your little girl? She's so cute.
Thank you. She just turned 9.
Oh, yeah, you've been a mom now almost a decade. That's
Hmm.
experience right there. You're getting to that age where they have real like a little bit of attitude and they kind of they have their own personality, what they want, what they don't want, and you're like, listen, you know nothing. And then you
Yep.
can't be a complete a-hole to them. So you're like, sure, let's try it, knowing it's not a good idea.
Yes, 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 all of that.
Well, you had to pivot from this job, and you have what I want to talk about here is Partake is these cookies, right? You created this company and you worked at Coca-Cola, which is one of the biggest companies out there, honestly. They're worldwide. They're everywhere. So
They
going from
are.
Coca-Cola, you want to start out a business. Where did this come from? I know it had a lot to do with your daughter, and I want to talk about that because you pivoted, but there was a purpose behind this pivoting, which sometimes we don't realize our future, what we're going to next has already been there. It's just we have to find a way to cultivate it. What happened there?
So my daughter, right around her first birthday, we learned that she had a lot of food allergies, which was a big
Ooh.
surprise to me because I don't have any allergies. My husband doesn't have any allergies. And then when I went to go find snacks that she could eat and enjoy, I was really frustrated and disappointed. It felt like the products, I didn't love the taste of them. Nutritionally, I thought if something was gluten-free or vegan, that meant it had to be healthy, but quickly realized that sometimes those products are worse nutritionally than the full of
Mm,
allergen stuff. And then I thought about from a brand perspective, how so many social events involve food. And when you can't confidently participate in those,
right.
it wears on you, it wears on your self esteem. And so I didn't want her to grow up being the weird food allergy kid with the weird food allergy snacks. And so I decided to do something about it, and had the idea for Partake in 2016.
Where did that name? I looked it up and I'm like, somebody's last name gotta be Partake. Like, where did what does it mean? Because I really don't know what it means.
So it's around the idea of giving everyone a chance to partake or enjoy. And so people with dietary restrictions and food allergies is where the name originally came from. But then kind of through my experience as a woman of color, as a first time entrepreneur, I've seen how many other groups of people don't get a chance to partake in all the good that life has to offer. So I really view the company as this like vehicle for radical inclusivity, not just an allergy friendly food company.
I love that. I think that one of the hardest things while I have a podcast academy helping people come up with podcasts and the name, the biggest week one for us is the hardest one. That is trying to find a name for your show or your business. It's so hard. It's
It
so
is
hard
very
going through
hard.
names.
Everything's trademarked. You don't want something that pigeonholes you so that, like, if you
Mhm.
want to pivot the business in the future or launch more products, like yeah, it's naming a company is very difficult. I agree.
That's one of the biggest parts I don't think people realize. This show used to be called Shit, I'm 30. I had turned
Yeah.
30 and I was so like scared and it's like, oh my God, what do I do now? I don't have the white picket fence and the husband and all of this stuff. And I was like, oh dang, years in, I was like, I love it here, actually. It's nice. And also, I'm about to be 40. So this name doesn't work for growth of the podcast. It wasn't getting there. And it was also a business. So it's like if I'm walking around with shit, I'm 30 and I'm 42, that doesn't make much sense at that point in time. So the name was something that I did want to ask you. And then you came up with it on your own. Did you have some help? How many names did you go through beforehand?
I had some help. We worked with a one woman branding agency out of Austin, Texas, that
Ah,
was helping us with our logo, with our packaging, and also with the name of the company. I had like 10 options I was choosing from. We actually almost named the company Haven to be like a safe haven for people with food allergies, but it was like trademarked. And so
yeah,
actually
I'm
now
like, that
looking back
seems
on it, I don't feel like it was the right move anyway. So
right.
everything always seems to work out the way it's supposed to, but we had some help in coming up with a name.
Now,
Initially, also the
go ahead.
first name that we were incorporated under was my daughter's name is Vivian. I call her Vivi. I just knew I wanted to make her life easier. So the original name of the company that never actually made it to market was Vivi's Life. So that was what we were incorporated under while I was trying to figure out what our real name was going to be.
Oh, I love that. I actually don't like personally when people name their businesses like after their name or whatever, because it's like
Agree.
if you're not a household name yet, like if we have something called like Trump Towers, Terrible example. No. Anywho, we know who he is, right? He was, before he was president, before he was anything else, we knew who he was, and you see it and it's a household name. But outside of that, we don't know you. Like, so when people come to me and they want to name their show, like their name show, the blank show, I'm like, all right, girl. Well, who's going to know what it's about? Because I don't know anything about you. So it becomes a little bit harder to do so. So I love that snippet. But now there's something you said. We had help and we had this business or this company that helped us come up with names and branding. And girl, that costs money. I have looked, like, I've used them now, but in the beginning, that is a lot of money. Where did you get the money to do so? Did you already have it from work? Did you invest your own money?
So I had the idea for the business in 2016 and I was still working at Coke. So I spent a year working this as a side hustle. So I was still collecting my check. My husband and I were both aligned that we were going to go all in on this business. So we were putting extra money to the side. I was super scrappy. I remember finding fancy agencies I wanted to work with and realizing I couldn't work with them. And then I would cold message every person who worked for that company on LinkedIn and be like, are you looking for a side gig? And I would get it for 90% less. And so, I think there's also very scrappy, inexpensive ways to make it work. We bootstrapped the business initially. We ended up putting over the course of about a year and some months, $140,000 of our own money into the business. I sold my engagement ring. I emptied my 401k. I maxed out my credit card. So it wasn't like we just had all this extra money sitting around, but the business was growing. We needed to be able to support it. And so anything that wasn't bolted to the floor, I was selling to be able to try to fund the business.
You're telling the kid, go before I get rid of you too.
Yep.
No, and that makes sense because sometimes people are like, well, I don't have the funds. I don't have the money. I can't get there. Or you must have rich parents. And it's like, no, man, we really have to find different ways to get funding. But there are a lot of other ways to get funding because I believe that you won a grant as well.
We won almost $100,000 from grants and pitch competitions. So my Monday hustle every single Monday was looking at pitch competitions in the area, looking up grants and applying like crazy. We also did a Kickstarter campaign that raised $40,000. So any kind of way that you could raise money for the business, we were trying to raise money because it is expensive. It can be very expensive to start a company.
So for anybody listening right now, they're like, all right, where do you find grants? How do you find these pitching companies? And what does that look like? I don't think I've never raised money for myself. I have to sell my own products and I use my own capital. But if you want to raise money and you need to raise that money, what does that look like? Where do you go?
I think oftentimes people overcomplicate it, and maybe there's a more strategic way than what I did, but it worked. I literally just went to Google every single Monday and Googled pitch competitions for women, pitch competitions for Black businesses, pitch competitions for food. I just had a list of stuff I would Google every single week. I had Google alerts set up. I didn't know anybody special. I didn't have any special strategy. I was just putting in the time and the work.
I love that. I'm working with Will Packer and Tiffany D. Cross on a podcast, and we had a little event yesterday or Wednesday night. We were talking to Gen Zers, and he was saying you have to put in the work. They're asking questions like, how can I work for you? How can we work there? How can we get to where you guys are? And they're both like, Will is 50, Tiffany's 45. I'm behind the scenes at 37. It's one of my biggest deals that I've closed so far. And people are like, well, how did you get there? Well, first of all, it's been 7 years of me busting my ass. Getting this work. And he's saying the same thing. Although it looks different today, maybe back in the day, you would have had to go literally door to door or business to business trying to find grants. We have Google. These kids, although they have it easier, it is a little bit harder because now there's millions of people that have the same access that you have. They have a platform with their phone. Everyone has their own channel. They can start a business so much easier. So you have to put in a lot more work. And it is harder, but it is so accessible, and not everyone that's doing it will be consistent and go towards it. So if you're listening, maybe get to Googling pitch competitions. And how do you pitch? You have a whole pitch together?
Yes. And it got better over time, but I realized that, people want to know the story. People have a big emotional connection to businesses. So the why behind it. And then, people want to get down to the numbers. So making sure you know the business inside and out, the unit economics, the growth potential, the market size, all of that stuff, how you actually plan to sell the product, and what positive momentum you already have, whether that be accounts that you've gotten into or press that you've gotten. And so, once again, I Googled that. Like literally, I just looked up different pitch decks online. I was like, okay, I'll pull this and I'll pull this. And, I won the first competition. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use this format moving forward. And then I would give feedback and you just tweak along the way based on what you're hearing. And so, I'd never pitched before. I'd never created like a business to raise money before, but you ask for help along the way and you figure it out.
Oh, that's a big one. Asking for help. I had someone recently who it was a guy. He was saying he wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but he never asked anyone for anything. Every time I went back to ask him, and it's like, hey, how is this going? Have you started? It was like still at a standstill. And I'm like, bro, do you ask anyone for help? You have people around you that either know what you're trying to do or have someone that they can connect you with. And unless you ask, you won't know. Like the worst thing that can happen is someone tells you no. But
Exactly.
you'll be surprised. And I don't know if you encountered this. Whenever I ask someone for help, I mean, I don't just be like, hey, how do I do this? I mean, hey, I looked this up and there's a specific piece that I don't know. So I'm not going to say, hey, how did I get funding? It's more like, hey, I'm about to go into this pitch competition. I'm not really sure what are the main points I should hit. Can you help me with that? Someone will be willing to give you right away because you've already done most of the work.
Yes, exactly. I feel like when somebody shows up and is like, let me pick your brain, like people aren't going for that. They're busy and like, that's just like almost disrespectful to go to someone with that. But to your point of like a specific ask where you've already put in work, I think it's important to circle back and keep the person posted on like how their help helped you. And then I also think it's important to pay that help forward when somebody comes and asks you for help in the future. And so like, I feel like it creates this wonderful virtuous cycle. And I think people like we're so much more generous with their time and their connections and their knowledge than I ever expected them to be.
Like, don't pick my brain about nothing.
No,
nowadays,
exactly.
It's like, let me pick your brain. How about you go ahead and pay this invoice first?
Yes.
Like, I have ways of coaching. I have all this stuff. But there are some people that really come to me with intentional questions and work that they've done. And my mouth just goes. Like, because I love what I do, right? So I'm willing to help you if you come at me correctly. I have recently, shout out to Carlos. He works with Jess Hilarious over in the Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. And he's her videographer. And he had DM'd me months prior. And I think I had saw something of his. And then I saw another DM and I'm like, oh, he's been DMing me for a long time. I would love to use him. He's great. Look at what he's doing. And then he's like, I want to learn from you in this space. Like I already figured this out. I actually ended up hiring him for something. And he called me recently. He's like, I have this specific issue with specific growth. Can you help me? We were on the phone for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. With something that I would have charged someone $600 for. I'm like, I have no problem giving it to you because I know you're doing the work. You fell into the space and I'm like, I think you're dope. I think you're great. I want to help you. And I've already seen your work. And even when I came to you, I was like, I ain't got that budget. You ain't got Breakfast Club money now, but you can come over here and I can give you this and I can then expose you to whatever. Sometimes I think that people don't take into consideration that you already have something in your back pocket that can help someone else to give you, that help. And speaking of that, I spoke about it before and I'm like, hey, your stuff is from Wally Mart, baby. We could be calling Wally Mart, Wally World. Walmart is in every corner. And whenever you think of Walmart, like that's the place that you go to. Everything that's anything is inside of Walmart. So for me to think like someone like Denise, regular schmegular girl that worked at Coca-Cola, a mom and a wife. Well, girl, how do you get there? How do you even begin the process to get to Walmart?
So I think it's really important to be willing to start small. Initially, I sold cookies out of my car, door to door to New York, to stores in New York. Like for a year, I did that because it was really important for me to understand all the workings of the business because I couldn't afford to go to a Walmart and make a mistake because I didn't have the money to be able to like recover from that. So I needed to
get. And this is what year?
This was in 2017. So from 2017 to 2018, I just sold cookies out the car.
This was in 1995, like back in the day. This is literally recently that you did this. So people can still do this. Okay. I want to make that clear because they'll be like, oh, that was back in the day when you have to do stuff out your trunk. No, you can still do that today.
Yep. So I did that for a year. Then we went into some small, like natural food grocers. We went into Whole Foods in 2018.
How do you do that?
And then I went on LinkedIn and I found, so the job title of somebody who makes decisions about what products to bring in as a category manager. Every single person on LinkedIn who had the job title category manager at Whole Foods, I cold emailed them and I told them my story and I asked for help. And this lovely gentleman who I've never met in person, but am forever indebted to, out of Boulder, Colorado, took pity on me and introduced me to the right person at Whole Foods. And she was willing to give me a shot.
Wow. So you're like a certified professional LinkedIn stalker, and I
Pretty
love it.
much. Yes.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah. In high school, my ringtone, whenever you used to like do songs for ringtones, my friends used to use the Inspector Gadget theme song for me. And so like, it is like, I am a certified find stuff on the internet. And that's how, and I knew that was a strength of mine. So I used it to grow the business.
I'm about to send you my baby daddy's name so you can find it for me. Because clearly child support can't find him. Maybe you can find him.
I'm happy to help.
I'm just kidding.
Happy to help. But and so we proved things out in those retailers. And then in 2021, we went into Walmart. At that point, we had history with other retailers. We had sales data. We could say like, this is why we deserve to be in Walmart. This is why we feel like we're a good fit. They've been a fantastic partner for us. And to your point, they're on every street corner. And so we've been able to make our products much more accessible and get them in the mouths of families that need them and deserve them.
I want to go, because this just came up to mind. Where are you making these cookies out of? Because I want to know how Walmart has helped you sell them, but then also, are you baking these cookies at home? Like, where are you where are they being done?
So, internet stalking again. I knew that if I was going to leave a career that I loved, where like I was very well paid, I felt like I had a really high path forward, I needed to turn this into a business that would be on Walmart shelves one day. And so I didn't want to start like in a commercial kitchen. I'm a terrible baker myself, so I knew that wasn't going to work anyway. I found a manufacturing facility that was free of the top 9 allergens in Idaho. And that's where we make our products. So we went from their smallest customer and me begging them to agree to work with us to we just bought an oven together that's as big as a football field, literally.
Get out of here. Are you serious? And where is that oven at?
It's in Idaho, in their facility. Yep.
Wow. I see. I just feel like we limit ourselves in business, right? Like, I'm like, she makes cookies. She must have been a baker at some point. You must have loved baking, because I can't bake. Toll House cookies pre-cut. Like, pre-cut cookies is where they go. That's all I got for you. I have a really good friend, Brittany. It's Sweets by Brittany. She is literally the best baker in the world. I'm obsessed with all her like sweets. But it's like, how do you grow that? Like, where do you go? And this is great because it's like, yo, there are ways to do it. You just have to invest the time in first. Now you're in Walmart, and most people will say, well, okay, now that you're in Walmart, you became a millionaire or whatever. How can Walmart actually help? Because I do know of businesses that go in Walmart and it's like, well, it never worked out. And you are really being supported by Walmart. So how has their support helped the business?
So we actually, in February of 2024, Walmart featured Partake alongside amazing businesses like the Lip Bar in a national commercial that increased our brand awareness significantly. They connected us. So we've had an opportunity to share our story and share our positive experience. They've been just a great partner to work with. I think there's been a lot of transparency in the relationship. I feel like I would encourage entrepreneurs to be honest with your retail partners, like tell them what you can do, what you can't do, what you can afford to do, what you can't afford to do, so that you all can come together and make a plan that will work for your business and that will support the retailer. And I feel like Walmart's really like facilitated these very transparent conversations that have allowed me to grow the business.
And I love that about Walmart, because we have been watching so much of diversity and inclusion just being erased out of
like off a cliff. Energy fell off a cliff. And Denise, I feel like,
it felt, I'm like, is this really happening right now? Because we went from 2020, every business, like Black Lives Matter, Black businesses, let me give you the funding. And then all of a sudden, it felt like one day it was post after post, article after article of like, oh, that's it. There's no more diversity and inclusion. I feel like they're getting rid of, what's the one for you to be able to get a job or go to school?
Affirmative action.
Yes. It was like, well, we don't need any of it anymore. Nope. We know Black people live here and it's over. And to me, it's like, that is not it. So we've been working with Walmart to bring awareness to a lot of their Black brands. And I'm like, man, the fact that they're doing this, some people might think it's a little gimmicky, but I feel like the Black and Unlimited program does impact a Black owned business for someone like you, where you're like, first of all, you're not just Black, you're Asian as well.
Yep. Half Black, half Korean.
Love that for you. Do you speak Korean?
I can understand and I can eat the food, but I'm not very good at speaking.
She said, I can eat that food. That's the Korean I got. No, but it's a huge impact, because where we see most businesses now in 2024 saying, you know what, forget y'all Black folks, forget y'all colored folks. We're not working with you, and women on top of that. It's like we have color and we're women. So now they really don't care about helping us. And I feel like this program with Walmart is impacting the sales of, women and Black women.
And so when we, our team is primarily underrepresented people, our investors are primarily women, Black, brown people, impact investors. And so when a business like Walmart supports our business, it allows us to continue to hire, pay our employees well. From an impact perspective, we have a 501c3 that's aimed at increasing diversity in the food industry
I
and works with
saw that.
HBCUs. We work to fight food insecurity. And so as our business grows, we can pour back into our community, and it's accounts like Walmart that allow us to do that.
I saw that. So I saw that you have like a fund. It's a way to fund certain people, and that's what this foundation is, right? You have your own foundation.
So we have a program called the Black Futures Fellowship. I remember in my time at Coke, I would like look around the room and be like, if I ever have my own company, it's going to be much more diverse than this. And then when I got my own company and I needed people with very specific backgrounds, the applicant pool was not diverse. And I was like, well, what can I do about this? And so we started a program called Black Futures in Food and Beverage. And we work with HBCUs to provide HBCU students with access, with mentorship, with education around the food and beverage industry. And then we help pair them with paid internships and job opportunities.
The biggest part there is, besides money, because I can give somebody $100,000 tomorrow and that money will be gone. They messed it up and now they're like back to square one. It's mentorship, man. We don't have in our community people that are willing. No, because we don't know how to ask either the right ways, but we don't have, I guess, outlets to know that's where I can find good mentorship for this specific thing that I'm into, because I couldn't go into your food and beverage mentorship because I'm in the tech world. They're going to be like, girl, I don't know how to put that microphone on. I know how to bake a cookie. And like, what are you talking about? So being that you have a place for people to go with for mentorship, for someone that's already done it, you've already made so many mistakes that it makes sense. And I want to know what some of those mistakes are before we get to the nitty gritty. And I have cookies here that I want to eat. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the whole vegan and gluten free, but what are some of these mistakes that you've made? Because these cookies are very specific. You need them to be gluten free. You need them to be vegan, and you need them to not have any of those allergic reactions that your daughter has.
Yep. So I think, knock on wood, we've been pretty fortunate. There's definitely been small mistakes along the way, but no like, oh shit moments and I think I would attribute a lot of that to the fact that we started so small. So I was making those mistakes when I was selling cookies out of my car. I was like, probably
and Idaho was making those cookies, right? The ones you were selling out of your car.
They've been making the cookies from day one. Okay. And I was asking every single person who had already been there, like, what landmine should I be looking for? What's next? This is exactly where I'm at with my business. What do you think I should do? I was getting a ton of different opinions from people. And then I was pairing that with kind of my gut instinct. And so, don't get me wrong, there's mistakes every day, like small ones of like, we may have overpaid for a shipment and we should have thought about freight a different way. Or we launched some baking mixes during the pandemic because everyone was at home baking, but like really that market opportunity isn't that big. And so we pulled that line back. And so there's definitely been like a lot of mistakes that we've made along the way. But I think the fact that we were willing to start really small and kind of test and learn, and the fact that like I have no problem asking for help has allowed us to kind of to limit the number of mistakes we've made.
I love that for you, because I feel like a lot of us, I think, it's living in fear. What holds people back, and when I speak to people most of them, it's that living in fear. What if I fail? What if it doesn't go well? Who cares? The person judging you is at their most miserable 9-to-5 job, working all these hours, coming home, the man's cheating on them, they're eating like shit. Like them people, that doesn't matter. The folks that are supporting you will see a failure and see it as a lesson, and you'll take it as a lesson and keep going. I feel like I understand the internet world feeling like, oh my God, if I fail, it's so magnified. But girl, Diddy will do something and they'll forget about you.
Yep. Exactly.
Somebody's going to do something that is going to take all the heat off of you immediately. I have my homegirl, Mandy Woods. She's a podcaster and, a media personality. And she'll get into like some riffs online. She has a huge platform. And I said, girl, why are you even replying? Don't even reply. I promise you tomorrow, somebody is going to do something that's going to forget everything you got going on. If you don't respond, or if you don't, just keep going. Keep going, keep posting, and keep being your own like cheerleader. You're going to fail, but that's so much better than somebody who's sitting at home doing nothing.
Exactly. I feel like the people who have the most advice are the people who have never done it before. The most opinions are the people who have never done it, who are like quarterback couch or whatever the saying is, but like just sitting at home miserable, judging somebody who's actually going out and taking the action.
I love that. Well, I want to try these cookies and I want you to tell me some stuff about them. So I have 3 of them here, and I kind of open them, but I have not tasted the cookies yet. I want to do it right here with you because I love me some cookies. Especially, I'm the most excited. I have chocolate chip, I have double chocolate brownie, and I have birthday cake. I'm not gonna lie, I am a chocolate fiend. I love chocolate chip cookies. I know that they have like, I don't know if you ever eaten crumble cookies because I know you're not the one with the allergies, is your daughter. I'm not
I
a fan of
haven't. I
crumble
see them
cookies.
everywhere. I hear they're like very polarizing though. I feel like more people I know don't love them than love them. They look
I don't.
delicious.
I don't. My bad crumble. But I hear, well, I'm not going to say that. I just don't like all the extra stuff. I just want a good old chocolate chip cookie. Like, that's what I want. So this one's chocolate chip cookie, and I love me a brownie, so I can't wait. So this is supposed to be vegan and gluten free.
And they're
Anything else
free of
that
the
egg
top
got
9
free?
allergens. So that means
Or is
there's
that?
no eggs, no wheat,
No
no
egg?
soy, no nuts, no tree nuts, no
I love
sesame.
nuts.
So what's in them is organic fair trade sugar, ancient grain flours like buckwheat, cassava, oat flour. They're sweetened. I shared that sweetened with organic fair trade cane sugar, organic fair trade chocolate chips. So they're
I
about
like the chocolate.
30% less sugar than like the general like chocolate chip cookies that you'll find on the market, made with super clean ingredients.
So I ain't gonna lie. It tastes clean, but I can eat this whole box.
Great. That's what we're
I
going
could.
for.
Because I love chocolate. Okay, let me take, that's a chocolate chip one. It's still crunchy. It's actually really good. Now I have one of my best friends, Gina. I should probably listen to this. She has a gluten allergy. Yes. She comes over and every time she gets hella sick with me because I'm like, girl, we got all the gluten here. Is it gluten she's allergic to? What's the stuff in pasta?
Gluten. So wheat.
Gluten. Yes,
Yep, wheat.
all of that.
She's
She can't
allergic
have
to
any
wheat,
of that.
which has gluten.
Feels so bad for her. Her stomach starts hurting, and I'm like, girl, we are a gluten house, okay? So I love that I can have this for, I can't wait for her to come over because I'm going to give her more of these cookies so she can eat cookies with me because I'll make regular like Toll House cookies and she'll want them, but then she's messed up for the rest of the week she's here, but she keeps eating with me. Okay, so this one is double chocolate brownie. Again, there's no actual like cow milk in this, right?
No milk in them.
No,
No milk, no eggs.
Oh, this is a soft one. This one's not a crunchy one. This is a soft one. It kind of feels like a brownie.
Great. Like super chocolatey.
Yeah. And I like dark chocolate. I guess what's that brownie cookie mix? What's it called? Brownie cookie, whatever. I don't remember. It's good. And I like chocolate. I do. That's gonna make me fat.
I mean, eating the whole box would be a lot more than a standard serving, but you only live once.
Self-control. When I like something, I want to eat all of it. Okay. Now this one's a crunchy one. This one's the birthday cake. This has sprinkles in it though. Is it regular sprinkles?
There are sprinkles that don't have any, like sprinkles usually have like corn syrup and artificial colors. Those are colored with like spirulina and algae and all these like super clean things. So super
Algae.
natural.
This don't taste like algae.
Good.
So who tests these to find the final product? Your daughter?
Yes. And now we have like a more robust like process to determine if something should be a new product. So we have, we go out to our consumers, our kind of most loyal fans, our team tastes the product. My daughter definitely has an opinion on everything. But initially when we first started, she was the primary taste tester. She still tastes, but we've professionalized things as the company has grown.
Mustard free. Wait, shellfish. There's shellfish in cookies?
There's not shellfish in cookies normally, but the FDA requires companies to declare, like it's one of the most common allergens. So you have to declare if you have shellfish or not. And so.
Got it. Okay. I know egg one is a big one. I know someone who has an allergy to egg.
My daughter is allergic
die.
to eggs. Yes.
Man.
And so I think that's been an interesting thing I didn't know before around like the difference between allergies and intolerances. So half of our customers don't have food allergies. They just eat cleaner or they just avoid gluten, but like, it kind of hurts their stomach or they're fine. And then there's the half like my daughter who like literally could die from eating one of those things.
Jesus. So you really can't you have to be so
There's
careful.
There's no like, oh, maybe your tummy will be upset. It's like, if you like eat this thing, you could die.
My goodness. Well, I am so happy that you were able to get these out because I'm going to send some boxes to Gina. So Gina, when you hear this, you'll probably have some at your house. Because I just feel like I feel so bad for my friends that can't eat anything. I have another friend, I think it's gluten as well, Jenna. oh my God, I'm going to get these to Jenna. Jenna can't eat anything either. And I don't understand how she lives. She doesn't eat meat. She can't eat anything with wheat. She doesn't eat a lot of the sweets. She only eats pasta. So she's allergic to something else. So I don't know what it is.
But there's a lot of gluten-free pasta. So she could maybe be, I don't know, nonetheless.
It
But like,
could be.
I think with the products are good to share with a lot of people because they're free of the top 9 allergens. Over 90% of people can eat them safely.
Yeah, and I usually think that food that has allergen-free stuff just tastes disgusting. I'm like, I don't like it. But no, these are really good. They still taste like a dessert. And I know like your palate has to change a little bit when you're eating different, but they're already there. They're already living the clean life. And it's like, might as well have something good. So I'm really proud of you for being able to do that and getting it, you know, off the ground, because that is really hard. Now, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back and I want you to help me answer some listener questions since, you know, we're here and I feel like you're smart. You know how to do a little stalking or whatever. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back with your listener letters. There is a long list of Black-led products that fit into your daily lifestyle. Show Black founders some love, not just during Black History Month, but all year long. There is power in every purchase because every time we buy Black-led brand, we make room and create demand for another Black-led brand like Natural Vert Granola, Partake Cookies, Creamalicious Ice Cream, Midwest Kids, the Lip Bar, and so many more. Black founders and the products they bring to the table are creating a whole new world of choices at Walmart. So go to walmart.com/Black and Unlimited to discover all the amazing Black-owned products you can add to your daily routine. And we're back. I'm going to keep Denise here for one of your listener letters because, you know, she be working. She's selling cookies, okay? She has to sell these cookies and she got work to do. So I do have a question here. It is more about like work-life fun and getting a job. And I know you worked corporate. And did you love what you did before? Like, did you love your career?
I thought I loved what I did. But now, like looking back on it, I can't imagine ever going back to corporate America. So at the time, I liked it a lot. But after I've been kind of my own boss, I could never imagine doing anything else.
And again, it's not for everyone. So this specific person here, she says, so I recently became a store manager of a huge company. The store itself is in major distress, the store she's at. Employees don't want to be there. The management that is there is ready to leave or leaving or just doesn't care anymore. To give you a little insight about myself, I've been in leadership positions going on 7 years now. I'm extremely mellow and love a challenge. I'm determined while also empathetic and sympathetic. I'm mostly known as a demolition manager where I come in and clean house with employees and get the store back into shape. This never really bothered me because it made the companies I worked for better and newer employees happy when I was there before leaving and going to my next store. I'm huge in accountability as well and having everyone back under my roof. The problem is being in this store, it needs a lot of TLC as well as the employees need TLC. But I'm not sure how to make this come together like quote unquote family. And I think what's throwing me through a loop is that I'm not coming in as a demolition manager. I'm going to be at this store and I have to stay and I need to be the backbone that it needs. So she's looking for guidance, opinions from employees and employers from other companies like ourselves. She really wants to know, you know, how to give value to these employees and how to make them feel like they're a part of and help the company be profitable, although they already are at this specific store. Now, I worked corporate for a long time and clearly so did you. And now we have our own employees. Just trying to figure out we have to make our stores or our company and our employees feel good about working for us. So how can she do that there since it's her first time being somewhere and staying there?
I think some of the things that come to mind for me are listening. I feel like oftentimes like the most junior level employees have the most knowledge about what's working and what's not working in a business. So giving everybody like a real true floor to share what's working, what's not working, how they want to develop, like, and listening to everyone. And then like digesting that and understanding like, you know, she has to do what's best for the business as well, but taking care of your people is always super important. So taking all that information and then going back and I think being really transparent with the team of like, this is what I heard. This is our plan to achieve what we need to achieve. This is how we're going to get there. And then making sure that she reminds the team and that she keeps them abreast of what she's working on.
The dog. It's fine. Hey, this is like, a live recording.
She was about to start barking. I was like, this is not what we need.
She's so cute.
Thank you. So I would think that then she wants to keep the employees along with her on the journey. Like, this is what we said we were going to do. This is how we're
Right.
tracking to that. This is what's working. This is what's not working. And letting them know, like, that's going to mean sacrifice and tough decisions. But I think when you're honest with people and you listen to people,
Right.
while they might not like what you're going to do, at least they respect it.
Yeah. One thing I didn't like about it is when she said how to make this come together like a family. Work is not family.
Yep.
Work is work. And I feel like a lot of toxic work environments, they'd be like, we're family. We need to be together. It's like blood. And it's like, first of all, no, it's not. I go home and work. It's more about incentivizing people. Is that the word? Words be hard sometimes.
That's the word.
So giving them incentives and making them feel like they're a part of business-wise. You can grow here. What can you do to have something that benefits you personally, not just the company? Because we come into these places where it's like you sacrifice, but you sacrifice for the company and then you end up depleted.
Yep.
So what can you do for them that either gives them maybe some time off, or when they make a little bit of money, a percentage somewhere, or they can somehow get some stock, or what benefits them directly in their life directly. And then they'll want to come in and really put in the work. And you'd be surprised, it's not much that you need
exactly
to give them. Just be nice. Sometimes just being kind goes a long way. Just be a good boss. Just be a kind person. And know that sometimes people have shitty days. Yep. And you can understand
and people
that.
have like shit at their house. Like, everybody is dealing with more than just their work stuff, and being empathetic and like, to your point, just being kind.
We have so much going on in our own personal lives, and then you go to work and they're like, oh, scream at you. And I was like, okay, first of all, check it at the door. And sometimes you can't check it at the door. So it's like, hey, do you want a second in the back? Can I be an ear for you? And let's figure out how we can go on for the rest of the day. Maybe you need to work in the back today. Maybe today, don't take any phone calls. Whatever that may be. Not too much where you're coddling them, but just being kind and doing nice gestures for your employees will keep them around way longer and happier. And something else that I feel like should be done every once in a while, give them lunch. Ooh, how I used to love me a Friday with pizza. And it could be pizza from Little Caesars. And we know Little Caesars is not that good. But it's just like, bring the pizza in, bring some pasta in. Like, give them a $10 gift card to Chick-fil-A. That might not cover the whole
their
meal.
Birthday, like just like little simple things.
Like all of that, it definitely does make a big difference. Well, Denise, I'm so excited. I know your dog's like, listen, girl, woof, woof. I got things to do.
It was so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. I know I'm going to finish some of the questions later, but I want you to tell us, like, where can we find you? We definitely know we can get Partake cookies at Walmart. We go to Wallyworth and get some of these cookies, but are they also sold online?
Yes. So you can find us online. Our website's partakefoods.com. You can find us at Walmart and in stores nationwide, and on social media at Partake Foods.
I love that for you. Well, I'm super proud of you. I'm proud of where you have been and where you're going. And I'm sure those cookies are going to be like at all 7-Eleven soon too. Like all the corner stores, everyone's going to be like, we got Partake, because everybody got some type of allergy the way the world is going right now.
That is true.
Well, thank you. You have an amazing day. Nice to meet you.
You too. Nice to meet you. See ya.
Okay. So Denise had to leave. She's a busy lady. She's working on a growing business, and Walmart is like, girl, we got cookies to sell. But we have one more letter that I do want to do with you. And of course, we have our Bible verse at the end. We can't miss that. And it's actually really good. It has to do with whatever. Let's just keep it going. So this letter is all about feeling lost. It says, I really don't like my job. I graduated from college in May with a degree in healthcare management and economics. I'm working as an underwriter right now, and honestly, it's not for me. I'm only 9 months in, but I can tell it's not something that I want to do long term. The problem is I don't know what I want to do with my life. I keep looking at jobs that need three plus years of experience, and I don't have that. I feel like I'm stuck right now because I don't like my job, but I also have no clue what I want to do. I love this question because I know reaching out, you're like, someone can tell me what I need to do or how to get there. And honestly, I'm not even going to lie to you. You need to take a step back and realize that you're not just going to know immediately one day, like, this is exactly what I want to do. It could happen. You could one day wake up and it's like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. But there's going to be a challenge to there, right? You need to try different things. So if right now you have a passion for something, or there's something you like to do, get into that industry. Whether that might be, I don't know, like you like doing hair, go be the front desk somewhere. You like doing nails, maybe go work at a company that, produces the product, or maybe you can work online from them, or just, you just need a job right now to make the money. Go work at a call center. Like maybe it's people, because at a call center you can learn how to work around people. There's a lot of them there, different personalities. So, maybe you can do like human resources later on. Just try things, sit down and quiet, like figure it out. Sometimes these jobs do say 3+ years of experience, and you'd be surprised if you just shoot your shot and you're like, I'm really good at this, I can do it. Sometimes you kind of have to lie on your resume. I ain't gonna lie, like I've lied before. I've definitely lied on my resume before. Shoot me now. I don't know what to tell you. I'm on business now. It is what it is. And I was a great employee, great-ish. I was a great employee. My issue was not showing up on time and taking long lunches, little things like that. But the work was done. It was done great. Y'all have fun with me there. Like I was a good employee, aside from like, I knew in my heart where I was working wasn't for me, but it paid my bills. It helped me save money. There were a lot of things that were great when I had these corporate jobs. I learned how to, what management style I didn't like, what management style I did like, things on the back end. You have to have that experience regardless. So use this job, and right now it might not be the job that you necessarily love and that you want to do. You said you graduated with healthcare management and economics. Um, you know, from this company that you are right now, maybe there's something within that company that you're like, I might enjoy doing this. Try to get switched over to that department. If it's a big company, they might have different departments. Work on that within the company first, since you're already in there, and then start looking for other things. I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in like, is this for the rest of my life? This might not be forever. Like we talked with Denise earlier, naming the company in a way that you're able to grow, right? And if you want to expand and do something different, do the same thing with your jobs. It's like learn something from this and then keep expanding, and your passions and loves for things are going to change. Like even right now I'm in the space where it's like, do I love producing pods? Yes. Does it feel redundant sometimes? Yes. So let me start another cohort. I'm starting different businesses from the network that I'm starting. It's called 505 Network. Like all of that. It's like different passions within the same space, but still different. And I do want to tap into other things. I'm looking into real estate now. We just put in an offer, which is, you guys, please pray for me. I don't know if this will be it, but let's say I get it. And it's like, oh my God, now I have my foot into real estate, and that is scary, but yet, exciting. And what happens if I don't get it, or if I do get it and I don't like it? I can sell it, get my money back, or maybe I'll lose money. Who knows? But at least I tried it. So stay there, stay strong, see if there's a different department there. Eventually you'll find what you love, but keep trying different things. Stay with an open heart, pray about it. Like all of those things will work out. And the reason why I really loved this question, it's because last week I went to church. I hadn't been to church in a couple of weeks. Like I've been watching and listening, but I hadn't been in the building, and I missed it. I missed it so much. Like just being in the building is so different to get your word. And he was talking about basically, you are born with purpose. You just kind of have to find it, right? God knows where you're going to be so successful at and do great things. And sometimes we get so caught up in like, well, he was saying like, when I get 1 million followers, when I get this big platform, when you do this, when you do that. And it's like, let's pay attention to where you are right now. Like, where are you right now? What can, where you are right now, how can you serve who's in front of you and what you already have? So the Bible verse that I want to read this week is Ephesians 2:10. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. And that's that part right there, which God prepared in advance for us to do. So this passage right here, it just brings a powerful reminder for when you're feeling lost. And it's that each person is created with purpose and so much intentionality by God. And that includes our careers. That includes our jobs, where we're going to go in life, how we're going to make our money, how we're going to survive in this ghetto world that we are right now. America is like, what is going on? The end times must be coming. But at the end of the day, with that, God had purpose and intentionality, including our careers, for our entire life. So we're called to use these skills and abilities to do good work in the workplace. And God has already prepared us for this in advance. So what are your skills? What are some great things that at your job right now, you're like, I'm really good at talking to people. I'm really good at doing processes. I'm really good at like, sales. I can sell, water to an Eskimo. Is that how that works? Ice to an Eskimo? Whatever. I'm not very good with those sayings. But you know what I mean? Like, what is it that you're really good at? Are you great with children? Are you great at doing hair? Are you great at doing makeup? I'm not. Like right now, I tried to do this little eye wing thing if you're watching the video, and one of them looks like so bomb. The left eye, it's like, what happened? You're missing a part of it. I'm not really good at this makeup thing, but I want it to be kind of cute or whatever. So, not the greatest at it, but I'm going to continue trying. I'm not going to not try. But I'm also not going to go and be a makeup artist because that's not really what I love to do. But maybe you're like, I could have gotten the eyeliner perfect for you on each eye. That's what I love to do. I'm really good at it and I do it for free. Maybe go work at Sephora. Maybe you might have an eyeliner or a makeup line that you could do. And you're like, well, how do I start even a makeup line? Like, I ain't no Fenty. I'm not no Rihanna. Well, we just talked to Denise right now. And Denise said she went in the Googles and made it work and you can figure it out. You don't have to be Kylie. You don't have to be Rihanna. You don't have to be Estee Lauder. You know what I mean? You could do it yourself. You really, really can. God has already ordained those steps and gotten that for you. So Ephesians 2:10, whenever you feel lost, like the person did, and you feel like, you don't have any purpose, your purpose has already been there. It was intentional. You have a skill that is going to get you and propel you to your next level. And you're going to be so happy when you get there. And sometimes maybe your purpose in life is to help me get my back end together. My back end, I don't mean my booty. I meant like my systems. Like that's stuff that I need help with. I can't do that. I'm a visionary. I have all these things. At some point, I'm gonna have to hire a CEO of my company, someone that can really run in sales and all of that stuff. I have to hire that out because it's not my strength. So know your strengths, what you're able to do, and then put people around you that can help you do the rest. But then your core of it is pick up that Bible, get on your knees, get that quiet time and pray about it. And the doors absolutely open up for you. Use the platform you have now. Look at the skills that you have right now that are great and put them to use. Well, that is another episode of A Pivot with Purpose. I'm so happy you were here. I'm so happy you're sticking with me. If you have not yet, please, what I ask you to do for me is leave that Apple Podcast review. Go leave it right now. Leave it right now. Leave a 5-star rating and let me know what you really think about these episodes because I want to do more. I want to interview more interesting people that have really made it somewhere where it feels like it may be impossible, but they look and sound just like you and I. And if they did it, so can we. I want you to pivot in your life and do it with purpose every single time. See you later. Goodbye.